puberty, the next rites of passage that we honour, especially within the red tent, because this is where, you know, if women are gathering together every month and sharing the highs and the lows of their journey, it stands to reason that they mark the big shifts that each one of them is going through. So as well as a monarch ceremony for puberty, welcoming girls to the red tent, the next gate is marriage, and so a bridal shower or henna night would occur in the red tent, and this is where we get our Western hens night from. It wasn't that you're now an old chook and no longer a spring chicken. That this was when, and it was part of the wedding, a woman would be prepared for marriage by her sisters. The older women would teach her about the love arts and, you know, how to keep that alive in the union. Also, the red tent becomes particularly important for women who are crossing that threshold into marriage and motherhood. And just because a woman doesn't have physical children in this lifetime does not mean she doesn't also journey through that phase. She will often mother those around her, animals, peers, friends, other family, clan members. But the threshold into motherhood is particularly important within the red tent, because what happens in our modern culture is the maiden has all the freedom that she could possibly want, and then nothing can prepare you for the 24/7 responsibility that is motherhood. And not only that, in a Western mindset, you know, this role is often denigrated and minimised and undervalued, and so women go through a huge crisis in terms of self-worth. Their solar plexus, which is where the archetype of Athena, the career woman, sits. For more information about all of the archetypes and how to bring the Shakti or the divine feminine energy up through these energy centres, I've written a book called The Inner Goddess Makeover, which is available on my website starofishtar.com, so I won't go into that now. But women that step into motherhood, which is the next chakra up, the heart, it can be very difficult if their solar plexus is still not, you know, really strong and whole and healed. So the loss of income, often through which they've unconsciously defined their self-worth, and also is often a measure of a woman's external power in the world in our culture, comes as a real blow to her identity. The other thing is that a lot of women in our culture, the mother archetype has been held up as you are a good mother if you sacrifice yourself. And this is, you know, done through advertising campaigns. Like in Australia we had the Meadow Lean Mum when I was a kid, and this was a woman that, you know, could make sandwiches for the entire football team and also, you know, look after, you know, the entire community, all with a smile on her face. And the mother, this is when we really have to step up in terms of our outward service, and so it becomes imperative that we attune ourselves to living more cyclically, and we pull back to fill our own cup so that we have it to give the rest of the month. If we do not do that through a cyclic practice such as the red tent, we risk such long-term habitual burnout that we develop breast cancer. And this is why now, after 2,000 years of patriarchy, we see it as, such a formidable and all-pervasive problem. The same, in fact, with infertility. The fastest way for women to regulate their menstrual cycles is to sight the moon every night. So when we live in a way that completely denies the effect that the lunar tides have on our inner waters, I mean, this is a force that can, each day move the oceans of the world, and we think it has no effect on us. So when we are humble enough to accept that, if the moon changes astrological sign every 2.5 days, guess what? So do we, in terms of our emotional journey around the monthly wheel. And so for women just to get a moon calendar, whether it's a moon diary or a moon poster, so that they can start becoming aware of when the moon is full and when they want to plan their most big events and outward activities, and become aware of when the moon is dark or new and when they need to just, plan for it, cook a bit extra and put the food in the freezer, particularly as mums, and at that time of the month when they're bleeding around new moon, that they have leftovers that they can just, heat up or have takeout, or educate their partner or the older children that that's their time to cook, that they don't expect themselves to be the all-giving, all-nurturer, cornucopia mum 24/7, because it's not sustainable. Just like the earth is not sustainable giving to us, her children 24/7. We have to honour her need to regenerate and lie fallow in order to recharge and keep giving. So too the mother has to take that time each month so that she doesn't fall into the old burnt chop syndrome of giving to everybody else and negating her own needs, thinking that that is actually a good mother. When we do that, we slip into an archetype known as the dark mother. And the dark mother, many of us know intimately because we grew up with it behind closed doors, because all of our mums didn't have circles to support them. So no wonder they, publicly, presented as being very loving, but behind closed doors we really experienced the woundedness of women that didn't have that support, which ranged from, wild mood swings and depressions, a lot of psychosomatic and chronic illness, and women that just were not in their power, and so that came out as the shadow feminine, being very manipulative, withholding, passive aggressive. And so through being raised by women that didn't own their own dark mother and take responsibility for meeting their own emotional needs, a lot of us have grown up with a deep mistrust of the feminine. So the idea of gathering with women and exposing our vulnerabilities can be quite terrifying. And this is a reason why we have to use our intuition when we consider the women that we do want to gather with each month. They need to be women who we know and trust we can be at our messiest with, and the women who see our light and see our strengths and affirm that and affirm our potential and encourage us to really embody it.